started shortly. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago. Barely any wind. Sunshine, but not too hot. That lake looks really tempting, but I'm pretty sure it's no swimming allowed here. And the occasional half-naked person. We got our first question already from Favorite Tiger. Thanks for joining us today. Have I ever been on an Amtrak train that broke down? Yeah, many times actually. For some reason, the train from Chicago to Grand Rapids tends to do that a lot. It's never taken more than 15 to 20 minutes though. It's always something they can resolve. And one time I've been on a railroad crossing that broke down. Hey Josh, how are things in Grand Rapids? Yeah, one time I was on a train and the railroad crossing was broken, so the conductors had to jump off and light a flare, which was interesting. I actually took a video of that. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Trains Are Awesome 5,000 subscriber and 1 million view special. Over the past weekend, well, this lake isn't great for jumping, so maybe tell somebody else. But over the past weekend, we reached both milestones actually. We got 5,000 subscribers, which for me is a really big deal, and we got 1 million lifetime views. Pretty amazing coincidence that happened on the same weekend. So I am planning to do a separate special video sometime in the coming weeks. I want to do that with Bear, my brother, and we live in separate cities right now, so we just have to coordinate a time where we're together. So I wanted to do this in several chunks. First, I'm going to talk about kind of the history of the channel, then the future of the channel, and then we're going to go into some of the questions that people asked a few weeks ago. And if you have any questions during this live stream, no, I did not ride a train to the lake. I actually live really close to this spot, so no need to ride a train here. You had family on Amtrak's derailment. I'm very sorry to hear that. Are they doing all right? Actually, all right, so the history of this channel, it basically started when I was 15 years old. Yeah. 7.5 years ago, December 2014, I uploaded a random video of a train that I had seen in Luxembourg. It wasn't even a train actually. It was one of those buses with multiple cars that kind of look like a train that is used as an amusement park ride or whatever. Well, it was in Luxembourg. I took a video of it, and I've been into trains pretty much my whole life, and YouTube was becoming more and more popular, so I was like, I want to take videos and I want to show them on YouTube. And that was the first video I took. I put it on YouTube. I think to this day it might have 18 views, and it doesn't really deserve more than that because it was bad. But at the time I lived in the Netherlands, so a big focus of my videos became Dutch trains, and for the first several, maybe even 100 videos of mine are either trains in the Netherlands or trains that I took in different countries near the Netherlands, like France, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, that I would take if I was on vacation with my family. Thanks you guys for letting the comments keep coming. I'm going to answer them really soon. I'm gonna finish this part first and then move on to the questions, but keep them coming. I promise I'll get to them. So, but a little bit more history about me. I did live in the Netherlands as a teenager, but before that I lived in Japan, in Tokyo to be specific. And that's where I credit my love of trains. Like, that's where it came from. Obviously, Tokyo has an amazing railroad network, and I was a daily user of that network, commuting to school and to friends and different things. So really is no better place for a rail fan to be born than in Tokyo. And so when I was 18 years old, in 2018, I graduated high school, and my parents gifted me tickets to go to Tokyo. I hadn't been there in 5 years, so I got to see a lot of my old friends, and I got to see a lot of Japanese trains. So then I had a little phase of Japanese train videos, and now I live in the United States. I recently graduated college. I have a bachelor's degree now. I've moved here to Chicago with my wife Lindsay, who I'm sure you've seen in some of my videos. But and now I'm doing a lot of American train videos. I try to, you know, juggle it around a little bit. I still have some content from Europe. I'm hoping to go back sometime soon. But also my content has increasingly become more Amtrak and American public transit related. And the fun thing about that is with each country that I cover, I get a different following. So right now I've loved getting to know a lot of people that are interested about Amtrak, want to know more about Amtrak. But the subscribers we have on this channel come from all over the world, and I love when people comment on my videos, tell me where they're from, compare the trains that I'm reviewing to the trains they have, because it just makes it such a fun global experience. So yeah, so now the future of the channel. As you can see, that's the skyline of Chicago. This is where I'm going to be for the next little while, and with this as my home base, I think we have a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to. We're going to keep uploading the Empire Builder trip reports. Saturday will be part 2 from, basically the state of Montana and a little bit of North Dakota, and then next week we'll do the last stretch to Chicago. I've been doing stuff on the Chicago L recently. What's been really interesting for me is when I lived in the Netherlands, I took the train every day, so I didn't have to shoot a lot at once and then upload it gradually like I've been doing. But when I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I mean, there's barely any trains there, so I would have to go on trips and accumulate a lot and then upload it gradually. And I'm still really in that habit, so right now I'm in between jobs and I'm like, oh, I should go ride the L, I should go do this, go do that. And I have to tell myself, like, hey, the L's not going anywhere. Like, you can do that on a Saturday in November too. That being said, I do have a lot still on my camera roll. So we went to Boston in May, and I took videos of 2 of the commuter rail lines and all but 1 of the subway lines, so that'll be a fun series. We went to Maine. Lindsay and I went to Quincy, Illinois recently. We took a very small propeller plane and then took Amtrak back, so that's really exciting. And my brother Bear, he went to Europe a few months ago. And so we've got some really exciting content from Italy and Spain coming too. That really made me really jealous, because he rode high-speed trains, he rode like the narrow gauge trains in Spain, and all of that is coming to Trains Are Awesome. And I get to live vicariously through editing those videos, but really I just wish I had gone with him. Alright, so I'm going to pick this up and see what a few people have been asking. Let's do it this way. Okay. So, Josh, good to know that Grand Rapids is great. Once again, don't tell me to jump in the lake. You can tell any of the people behind me. Favorite tiger, been on the Amtrak Wolverine and broke down for 7 hours. That's terrible. The biggest Amtrak delay I've had was also 7 hours, but that was because of freight interference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's keep reading. Adam's asking, how am I doing today? I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day in Chicago. Thanks for saying my videos are interesting, by the way. Oh, the Nicorel was here 30 minutes ago. If I had known, we could have met up. What is my favorite Amtrak route? Okay, so I've been on 8 or 9 of them. I really do like the Wolverine. The Wolverine runs from Chicago to Pontiac, Michigan through Kalamazoo and Detroit, and it runs on Amtrak tracks. So normally Amtrak trains run on freight tracks, but the Wolverine runs on tracks owned by Amtrak. And so it goes 110 miles per hour right now, or at least it did have the new Venture cars. I don't know if they're still using them. I also really like the Southwest Chief. That was my first Amtrak long distance experience, and it was amazing. I would totally do that back again. Let's keep reading a few more comments here. Okay, so Steve, whose family was on a derailment, his nephew broke his wrist and fractured his neck. They are back in Chicago. I'm really sorry to hear that. Please, if you get the chance, express my wishes for a swift recovery to them. That is not a fun injury to recover from. Do I think FlixTrain will ever come to the United States or Canada? I mean, we have FlixBus here, but I don't think so. I mean, running a train in the US is really hard, and when it comes to like the private startup thing, I think Brightline kind of has that market cornered, but it would be really nice to have an alternative to some of the shorter routes. Maybe, who knows? Never say never to anything, but I think it's very unlikely just because of the insane amount of funding that's already put into inner-city passenger rail here. What do I think about Metra commuter rail? So I know a lot of people don't like Metra. I actually do like Metra. I think that for American standards, it's not bad. Oh, hey Bear, how are you doing? What long distance Amtrak train am I taking next? Your guess is as good as mine. Why don't you book me something? Bear is phenomenal at booking trips, whether by train or by air, so I rely on him a lot. But to get back to Metra, I think the gallery cars are kind of fun. I mean, they're not the best way to distribute passengers in a train, but they look really cool, especially if you've never been on something like that before. And some of the Metra lines actually have pretty decent service, once again, for American standards. So there are some Metra lines that have pretty bad service, like the Heritage Corridor and Southwest service, but all my Metra experiences have been pretty good. The staff on Metra is really great. My last Metra trip, the conductors were singing. They were like singing the announcements and like, "Hello passengers, how are you doing?" But like always in song. Okay, got some more questions. Welcome to Chicago. I live in Northwest Indiana, but I ride the South Shore to the city regularly. Broadway is wonderful if you enjoy musicals and plays. Well, Lindsay does, so maybe I'll have to take her to a show someday. We watched Hamilton and Hairspray in the same week in Grand Rapids. John says that Southwest Chief is his second favorite, but he loves the Coast Starlight first. Coast Starlight is so high on my bucket list. Have I ever been on a 7000 series train in Chicago? No, I've tried and I've seen them in service, but I haven't really had the time to like stake one out yet. So I'm really hoping to get that done soon. I've seen them on the blue line, and I've heard that they might be coming to the yellow line soon. The yellow line is really fun to take. Are people walking by and wondering who you're talking to? Probably. I had a lady run by earlier. She was so sweaty that it splashed me. It was disgusting. But I don't know, this is Chicago. People mind their own business. How is the Metra electric line? Metra electric is probably my favorite one just because it uses electric multiple units, and its service is really, really good, especially on weekdays. Dylan takes Amtrak Keystone from Philadelphia to Harrisburg, and the section through Lancaster and Amish County travels at 100 miles per hour. Yeah, I would love to do the Keystone as well. Alright, have we gone through other comments so far? But we did have some people submit them earlier. And now you finally get a chance to have those questions answered. So first we have Nonstop Euro Trip. Thanks for always leaving a comment. What routes are on my bucket list? So yeah, let's split that up by country again, or not by country but by region. So we'll start here in the United States. The two cities that I want to explore the public transit of the most are Seattle and San Francisco. Seattle, you've got, of course, the monorail, the light rail, the streetcar, and in San Fran you have BART, Caltrain. Up north you have SMART, you have the cable cars, the Muni Metro. So much to do that is really high on my bucket list to go there. I also want to ride the Altamont Corridor Express over there, the ACE. So that sounds like Coast Starlight or California Zephyr would have to be my next big Amtrak trains that I would want to take. I'd also love to take the Cardinal. Sorry, I'm giving you a ton of answers. When it comes to Europe, I didn't think this through enough. But yeah, I've always been really fascinated with the railways in Switzerland. I've been able to do a bunch of those in Italy, but I would love to go back and do more of those. Maybe do one of the Euro cities from Frankfurt to Milan, or countries like the Czech Republic and Germany, I feel have a lot to offer in terms of railroads, and I'd like to explore more. And then the United Kingdom. My only experience in the UK is Eurostar and the Tube, so I need to come back and ride the Elizabeth line, obviously in the UK, but then also a lot of the really beautiful scenic stuff in England, in Wales, and Scotland. So one day. And then as for Japan, like I said earlier, I lived in Tokyo, so I have a fair bit of the Tokyo train network under my belt. I've been on a few of the Shinkansen as well. One of the trains I really want to ride is Seibu's Love You, spelled L-A-V-I-E-W, not like I love you. It's this completely silver train with giant windows that's designed to, Chicago people, man, that's designed to reflect the scenery as the train passes by. And it runs on the line that I used to commute on, so I want to do that. And then I would really like to take the Sunrise Express. The Sunrise Express runs from Tokyo west to either Izumoshi or the island of Shikoku, and it's the only sleeper train left in Japan, and it has some really funky compartments and stuff you can sleep in. And I also Western Japan is new territory for me, and there's a lot of really old trains that you can't ride anywhere else, and it's just a completely different world.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Your dog's super cute. puppies can interrupt whenever they want. So yeah, those are some of my bucket list trains. Dennis Forner from Australia asks, what place is the benchmark for efficient and effective public transport that is affordable to the population? First of all, Dennis, I want to thank you for always leaving such an encouraging and insightful comment on my videos. Really, when I upload a video, your comments are one of the things I look forward to. When it comes to efficient and effective transit, it's predictable, but I'm gonna say Tokyo. Like, my family didn't have a car there. I mean, Lindsay and I here in Chicago don't have a car either. But the subway really does get you around, and what's great about Tokyo is a lot of the subway lines interline with some of the suburban trains, so you can take a train from the suburbs into the city. And there's also a loop line, the Yamanote line, which connects major rail hubs, and it's also pretty affordable. The first few stations are usually only about 100 and something yen. And that's like $1 something, so that's really not bad. Chicago public transit gets a really bad rap, and if you've been on the Blue Line after midnight, you might understand why. But it's not a bad system. Once again, there's the loop, which all different lines feed into it and offer like kind of a dynamic connection to each other, so it's not all crowded in one space. And the city really helps to make it affordable. A single ride is $250, but a day pass is $5, a week pass is $20, and a month pass is $75. So that's an insanely good value. And wherever the train doesn't go, the bus goes. So the one thing that isn't great about Chicago is that Metra all terminate at different stations depending on what company owns the tracks of the line. Yeah, how are you going to fix that? There are some plans and there are some fantasies on how to have like a Chicago Crossrail, which could be really, really interesting. But overall, I really like Chicago. I really like Tokyo. Based on what I've experienced, Berlin has a good transit network. I really like how the S-Bahn is integrated with the subway. Their day passes weren't incredibly expensive either, if I recall correctly. Budapest has a really cool system where every mode of transit has a different color. So trams are yellow, trolley buses are, I believe, red, buses are blue. That makes it easy to see, but my experience with Budapest has only been a few days. When it comes to affordable transit, what I can't say I'm incredibly impressed with is, people are going to get mad at me for this, but the Netherlands. I traveled with Dutch trains daily for 5 years, and it's a good network for European standards. It's a really good, dense network, very high frequencies, good quality trains. A little bit more delays than I would like, but then again, that's probably the Tokyo in me speaking out. But so expensive, which is a big contrast with urban transit in the Netherlands, which I find really, really affordable. All right, so those are a few examples. If you can think of any others, let me know in the comments, and I can judge them based on if I've been with them or not. Lying Zebra asks what my first train memory was. My first train memory was in Japan. It was on the Seibu Ikebukuro line. Still my favorite railway line to this day. I don't remember much of it, I just remember liking it. I also remember the Sapporo subway in northern Japan from when I was a toddler. Dexter Alexander was wondering when Eastern trains will return to traditional dining and if coach passengers will be allowed. And I did a little bit of research on that, and I can't find the answer. I know in 2021, Amtrak said that they wanted to restore traditional dining to more trains. I don't believe it's happened yet. And I know that coach passengers are not allowed to eat in the dining car yet. They are allowed to eat in the cafe. I usually travel coach just because it's a lot more budget friendly, and honestly, at my age, the seats are decent enough for 2 nights, so I just bring my own food. And then Dexter also wonders, to get from O'Hare to his hotel downtown, how to do that. Well, O'Hare is served by the CTA Blue Line, and the Blue Line will take you to Washington Station, which will be just a few blocks away from your hotel. It'll cost $5 just because you're traveling from the airport, but it's a 1-seat ride. As for L safety, I ride the L almost every day. Like I said, it gets a bad rap, and there are times, especially in winter, when I believe security on the train could be enforced more. Then again, it really is just a matter of being smart and knowing what you're doing. So, you know, travel in a car where there's multiple other people. Don't travel in the wee hours of the night. Only the Blue Line and the Red Line are open late, and that's not a very pleasant experience. And, you know, just be vigilant, be friendly. If you don't go looking for trouble, you're good to avoid trouble. And honestly, really, blue and green and occasionally red are the only lines where I ever find trouble. Pink line, brown line, purple line, it's just a regular commute. Okay, Steven asks us, I'm planning on visiting Japan. Hopefully one day soon. It's already been 4 years since the last time I was there. It's been 9 years since I've lived there. I miss a lot of people. I also know that a lot of people in my family haven't been able to go there in a very long time as well, so maybe we can all plan a big family trip someday. And then M. Clot Felter wants to know my experiences on a number of systems that unfortunately I haven't been on, except you did ask about the train from Saint-Gervais to Martigny between France and Switzerland. I haven't been on the train, but I've driven that route, and Mont Blanc is so beautiful. Those towns are so cute. Definitely worth taking the regional train there. And then Tilo from Switzerland to Milan Airport is also a really good train. It's basically a Swiss train experience with Italian views. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite networks, actually. Train driver Carl wants to know what I do for a living. So I just graduated college. I studied international relations, which is a branch of political science, and I am actively looking for a job here in Chicago to continue my career. Yeah, not much more to be said about that. We're in Chicago right now because Lindsay and I both really love big cities. We wanted to live in a place where we didn't need to have a car, and Lindsay is going to school here as well, so VWUR6X asks, how do I get to travel so much? So yeah, it's true, I am very young, 22 years old, and I am really blessed to have seen so much of the world already, and there's no one part answer to this. There's really several parts. So part of it is working hard. I mean, I'm unemployed now, but I work really hard. I've worked full-time throughout college, and I plan on working full-time as soon as I pass interview rounds for the positions I'm looking at. Lindsay works her butt off. My parents have always been very hard workers. They've really taught me and my siblings the value of working hard. But working hard isn't worth it if you have nothing to work for. So it's a really conscious decision of my family and of me and my wife to spend what we have and what we've worked for on travel. That requires some financial sacrifices, like, you know, shopping at Aldi, or shopping for deals, not drinking, not smoking, and not having a car, which I understand is a luxury we can afford, but for some people a car is a necessity. So I'm not saying if you have a car you're wasting your money, but that's one area where we've been able to save, and we've been able to use that to travel. Another part of that is flexibility. So right now I'm at an age where traveling in coach on Amtrak is fine, and flying Spirit or Frontier is doable. I flew Spirit to, or was it I flew Frontier to Vegas, spent the whole day in Vegas, and then flew a red-eye Frontier back. My body was wrecked, but it was worth it. So that helps. Looking out for deals. Travel doesn't have to be expensive. All of my Amtrak trips have been under $100 for me. Not including like lodging or food or anything, but like the tickets themselves have all been cheap. And I think the biggest tip is to treat your chores and your everyday life as an adventure. So when I ride the L, sometimes, I look on my phone, but really I try to look out the window, see if I can see something new. The L has lots of hidden gems. Like, did you know there's a station on the L with a piece of the Berlin Wall? So I went to go see that. Or if I'm going somewhere, like to visit family in Michigan, I book Amtrak and I make sure that that's an enjoyable experience. So yeah, I hope I didn't sound too arrogant in any of that, and that can offer some perspective on how people who want to travel can travel. And it's so enriching to meet new people, to explore new places, see how small we are as people, but how big this world is that we share with each other. And then final question from the earlier video, Danny Ains wants some tips for traveling abroad. So yeah, my first tip would be to make sure you have everything, especially in this like pandemic time. I know most countries aren't requiring tests anymore, but when Lindsay and I flew to Portugal, there were so many people that did not know you needed a COVID test for the UK or the Netherlands or Germany, and that kind of stuff is really essential to look up. And then when you're traveling, just make sure you're always keeping track of where your things and where your people are. There's nothing worse than losing something on a trip. One thing I like to do before traveling somewhere is using Google Maps and Wikipedia, just for a very broad sense of what the city or the place is like. Almost always I'll catch something that I'm like, oh, that's interesting, I want to research that further, and then I'll end up going there. Oh, there's a bunch of ducklings over there. I'm going to show you guys the ducklings real quick. But while we do that, keep answering the question. And you see them down there? One more part to that final answer is when you're especially traveling by train, keep in mind that trains usually aren't made for tourists, but they're made for commuters and people in that country that use them. And so when stuff changes, that might be communicated in a way that is easy to understand if you're used to the system, but hard to understand if you're a tourist. I remember traveling from Hungary to Croatia, and they were splitting our train in half, and the car we were on wasn't going to go to Croatia. And so we had to, and if you take that train a lot, you know that they split that, but we couldn't read either of those languages, so we had to ask around, and people are generally very helpful, even here in Chicago, even in the Netherlands. And so don't be afraid to ask somebody for help. It could just be that you're on a Dutch train that's been diverted or been shortened, and it's just always nice to know in advance. So keep an open mind, but also be prepared. It's kind of the paradox of travel, if you will. Right, let's answer a few more questions from the stream. Let's see how far. Josh is going to Chicago on a few weekends with some friends to ride the 7000. Any recommendations to where to find one? I've only seen them on Blue. Blue would be your best bet. Adam does not like the configuration of the cars. I guess that's where we differ. I understand why people could not like them. They're an acquired taste, but I think there's something funky about them. So I don't mind them too much. I do hope they get new locomotives, although I did hear that they're experimenting with a battery-powered locomotive. I really hope that works out, because that would be amazing, especially considering most of Metro locomotives are not very emission-friendly. Question, what was my first Amtrak trip? That was in March of 2019. I took the Pier Marquette from Chicago to Amtrak. It was my very first Amtrak trip. Actually have a video about that. Don't know if I recommend watching it. I haven't watched it in a while. I don't know what the quality is, but I was super impressed. Okay, here in the Transporter Daniel zegt, here in the Netherlands it is almost night. Yes, I know that. We have a 7-hour time difference here. So that's why I did it at this time, so you could maybe catch the beginning of it. Dylan says that when he was in the UK, he took Eurostar to Paris and the London Northeastern train to Edinburgh. Cool. I'd love to do that. Really, I'm open to any suggestions for countries that I haven't really done the trains of yet. Car Guy says, welcome to Chicago. Lives 3 hours downstate. He likes my videos. Thank you, Car Guy. Favorite Tiger said I had a bad experience on a Chicago Red Line. Yeah, that happens. My brother once got stuck in one because people started a fight, like, in his car. Such is living with many people. Adam says Chicago is a mess with freight and passenger lines connecting to different lines. Yes, it is. That's why I'm really excited about the new plans to potentially reroute a bunch of Amtrak trains. The Texas Eagle and the Lincoln service could be rerouted over Metra's Rock Island district, and the Michigan trains, the Lakeshore Limited, and maybe even the Cardinal could be rerouted over the South Shoreline, or at least the CN, like the old Illinois Central line. Really just anything to avoid that stupid Norfolk Southern Chicago line. How about people who do not want to go to Chicago from the airport? One option is to take the Blue Line to Rosemont and then take a Pace bus. I agree that there should be some sort of radial line. Josh did a whole L system and saw all the stations and saw some dude selling Mike and Ike's. I hope those were Mike and Ike's. Let's assume they were Mike and Ike's. Let's give the person the benefit of the doubt. Alright, I think that answers all the comments we've had so far. If you think of anything else, just type and let me know. I'd be happy to answer that. Been here for 40 minutes already. It feels so nice outside today. I love this spot where I am. This is downtown Chicago. Cameron wonders, good to hear from you, Cameron, if I have a favorite Amtrak route. Yeah, I answered this at the beginning of the stream, and I'm happy to do that again. I really like Amtrak's Wolverine because of like the unique line that it runs on, an Amtrak-owned line, 110 miles per hour. I really enjoyed the new Venture cars. People have been very negative about those, and they do definitely have a few teething issues, but the quality is just so great. And I also really like the Southwest Chief because the scenery is breathtaking, and that was my very first Amtrak long distance trip. It was even better because we actually got a huge delay, which sounds terrible, but that delay meant that instead of traveling through the Mojave Desert at night, we traveled through the desert in the middle of the day. So I got to see a bunch of views that most passengers don't even get to see on the Southwest Chief. Let's see. Sean wants to know my favorite L and Metra lines. For the L, I'm split between yellow and purple. I like that the purple runs express. I kind of wish it did it all day. And the ride up to Evanston and Wilmette is really fun. And the yellow line is just so cool. With its history, you know, it used to be part of the North Shore line, and then now it's an L line, but it's still kind of funky. It used to have overhead wires. It's really fun. Plus they have the cool like Skokie Swift logo that they put on the trains. I also really like the brown line from Fullerton to the Loop because it gives you this panoramic view of the skyline. My least favorite is probably the blue line. I just feel like every trip on the blue line takes forever. Let's see. Ross Vaughn says, love the videos. Thanks, Ross. What's my least favorite long distance Amtrak route? Oh, there's a Frenchie. I'm going to say least favorite just because I liked other ones better. Because the 3 long distance routes I've been on are the Southwest Chief, the Empire Builder, and the Lakeshore Limited. Hi. Hello. Sorry, the dog just came and sniffed my flip-flops. They were really cute. So out of those 3, my least favorite is probably the Lakeshore Limited. Mostly because it doesn't have an observation car, and I know it can't because it has to go into New York Penn Station, and the Superliners don't have clearance for that. I also just found the staff on that train to be a little bit ruder and meaner than on the other routes. So I still really enjoyed that train trip. It was my first long distance trip with my brother and with my wife. And there's nothing better than going up the stairs of a train station and being in Manhattan. So I like that trip, but it was definitely a lesser experience than the Southwest Chief or the Empire Builder. As for the other Amtrak trains I've been on, they are the Wolverine and the Pere Marquette in Michigan, the Northeast Regional, the Downeaster that goes to Maine, which a video will be coming out of very soon. And I've been on the Carl Sandburg from Quincy, Illinois to Chicago, which answers the next question from Adam. How about taking all the Amtrak lines in the state of Illinois? I would actually love to do that. This sounds like a lot of fun. I think there's the trains to St. Louis and then the trains to Carbondale that I still have to do. So that'll be something I'd be interested in. I'm actually currently in the process of filming a train about the Leone and the Saluki and their weird switchback to get onto the St. Charles Airline. But that's something that I have to go back on site several times for, so it'll be a few weeks before that one's done. And then Marianne Muller says, thanks for the fun content. She enjoys my adventures. Can I make some that combine train and bus routes to get to different parts of the city? Like Chicago? Yeah, I can do that. I have a few bus videos planned here in Chicago. I hadn't really thought of combining them with the L, but it's not a bad idea. Thanks for that idea, Marianne. questions keep coming in, I think we'll go till about an hour. So about 15 more minutes. But if anybody wants to know my experiences on Dutch trains or any of the other countries I've visited, I'd love to answer that too. Wearing my Amtrak shirt, I bought this in Portland, Oregon. Portland Union Station has this really cool railroad cafe. It sells like tons of railroad memorabilia, t-shirts, pins. Really wish Chicago had one of those. By the way, if you asked me a question on my Ask Me a Question video a few weeks ago, I will go back and answer those in the comments as well, just in case you weren't able to catch it in this. De treinreiziger zegt, congratulations. Oops. Sorry. What videos would I like to make in the future? I actually have a master list of several ideas that I want to do. So some of that is Chicago related stuff. There's some cool stations here in Chicago on different lines that have unique things. There's some like Amtrak and Metra related stuff. I'm really hoping to do all the Metra lines by the time I move away. Metra is Chicago's commuter rail, by the way. And when it comes to, I want to make a video about, so I went to Boston and I did most of the public transportation there and I really liked it, so I kind of want to make a video explaining why I liked Boston. And then I want to do something similar for the Netherlands, because in different comments that I've had with subscribers and with viewers, there are things that I like about NS and the Dutch railways that sometimes I feel like I'm not really able to share, and then there's things that I dislike about the Dutch railways that some people seem to get pretty upset about. And so I'm thinking of doing a two-part video where one of them will be what I like about the Dutch railways and one of them will be what I dislike about the Dutch railways, and kind of provide that platform for a productive discussion on that. What is the fastest train I have been on? That's probably a tie between the Shinkansen in Japan and the TGV and the ICE in Europe. I've been on Eurostar, I've been on the TGV, I've been on the Shinkansen, which I believe all go 320 kilometers per hour, which is 200 miles per hour. I can do math. That's so cool. And then the fastest train in the US I've been on was the Northeast Regional. I don't think it went quite 125 miles per hour, but we got pretty close, so that was fun. But yeah, treinreiziger, if you're still there, did you happen to catch the presentation of the new intercity in Rotterdam? Did you go to that? Because that's a train I want to ride. I'm not a huge fan of how they look, but anything is an improvement over the VIRM double-deckers, so I'll take it. Plus, it's about time the Netherlands finally gets a high-speed train, considering we've had a high-speed line for 15 years. Let's see if I missed anything. Oh yeah, Nick Rowell says don't forget is it pronounced Hiawatha or Hiawatha? I believe it's the second one, but the train that goes from Chicago to Milwaukee. I don't have anything planned, but I actually think that might be one of the next ones I take because it is very cheap and there are multiple trips a day, so it would be very doable for a day trip. I've been on that route on the Empire Builder, of course, but really excited about the Hiawatha. I'm gonna say it that way until somebody corrects me. The Hiawatha cab cars. They're going to be the Siemens Venture cars, but they're going to have a control cab. Hiawatha. Am I saying that right, Sean? That's good to know if I do make a video. There's nothing worse than mispronouncing something. I really try my best. I use YouTube and different websites to figure out how to pronounce the stuff I go to, because especially here in North America, sometimes it's very different from what you expect. Like, there I am. Just lost the connection for a little bit. Even after I stop this live stream, I might just sit out here and soak up the sun. It feels really good out here. I also went to go back to the subject of what videos I'd like to make in the future. The videos I listed are all videos that I already have footage of. But I also have this big list of stuff that I have a Chicago list of like specific Chicago things that I want to do, and then I have a master list based by country of like stuff that I found online and I'm like, oh, I really want to try this, or stuff that I've been on before but haven't been able to make a good video about. I'd really like to go back to Japan and make some videos about Japanese trains for an English-speaking audience. When I went in 2018, I wasn't a great vlogger yet, so I mostly just did clips of trains running. And that's definitely been a bit of a challenge being a vlogger now, is like, how do I, because like on, I believe it was, yeah, Saturday, I went to Union Station and I saw one of the heritage Amtrak locomotives with like the special anniversary livery, and don't really have like a story or anything surrounding that. So it's been a little bit of a, like, I'm trying to figure out when to upload just like clips of cool trains that I see without any sort of story, because I really prefer doing the storytelling vlogs, like trip reports and like my cities, like introduction to city videos, where I'll go to a specific transit network and just kind of explain it as I show clips of the network. Those two are definitely my favorite to do, but occasionally I just have stuff that it's just a moving train and I want to share that too, so we'll figure it out. Well, it looks like the comments and the views are wrapping up a little bit, so I want to thank everybody for coming with me, coming with us on this journey. We're 7.5 years old. We're 5,030 subscribers strong and over 1 million views watched, and it's been escalating a lot in recent years. Definitely improving myself a lot in terms of my editing and in terms of the experiences that I get to experience, but also the channel interaction is improving a lot. So I want to thank you guys for that. Thanks for subscribing, for leaving comments. I love comments, especially if they're positive. And I might, yeah, and I will continue to answer those and interact with people. If you catch this live stream when it's not live anymore, but you still want to know something, ask away. I love that interaction part of YouTube. Yes. I should do this a little more often. I could schedule it. I mean, I can do that. I will come up with a plan and do that. I used to do it on Amtrak long distance trains, and by used to I mean I did that on the Southwest Chief, and then I forgot to do it on my other 2 trips. Cameron, you're welcome for the mention. Always good to read one of your comments. Please don't stop leaving those if you have the time. I always enjoy hearing your stories from the UK. It really makes me want to try the trains there. And good luck in your search of a new Prime Minister. So as I was saying, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for leaving comments. These live streams might happen more often. It's a lifeguard message. Something about alcohol and no swimming allowed. Which is a bummer because Lindsay and I had tomorrow off and we were hoping maybe the lake would be nice by now. But there's allegedly a very high bacteria count. Anyways, if I do these live streams more often, they'll be a little bit more structured than this. I really just wanted an opportunity to chat with all of you, and thank you for granting me the opportunity, giving me lots of really good questions, and for continuing to show love on my videos. Saturday is Empire Builder Part 2, Glacier National Park, and the rest of Montana, and it's almost done. It's going to be a good one. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome, and we'll see you next time.